Since normally they have an outreach speaker who will give like a full length message, they didn't have that tonight. And I told Red, said, listen, in lieu of that, since that's not going to happen, you want me to just do like a quick 2 minute devotional about something I came across? And Red said, yeah, why not? I was going to do it later, but let CJ take care of their guitar signal. And I want to share with us now. And this is really brief. There's a passage out of an Old Testament prophet, Zephaniah, in chapter 3. And I just want to share something that he said in there. And the reason why this last year or so has been very difficult for all of us for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons, too, is not just because there's been a pandemic, but there's been a lot of exploitations of pandemics, a lot of things happening in the culture that really distress our hearts. A lot of evil doubling down, and it doesn't matter which side of the political fence that you're on. You look at stuff and say, "Oh my goodness, this is not good." Um, really bad, crooked things, evil things happening at the levers of power. The culture just being very sick in its soul, and there's times recently, with including with some specific issues here in California that are going on. And I won't get into the nuts and bolts because I don't want to turn this into politics. But suffice to say that there are issues that really get discouraging. It's like, good grief, the bad guys are winning and winning and winning and winning and winning. And when does something good and just to make people, better for people's well-being and for better spiritual climate, when is it going to happen? And um, I just wanted to share a passage here in Zephaniah 3, and this is what God said to people who were in a very similar situation at the time. The Lord your God is in your midst, a victorious warrior. He will rejoice over you with joy. He will be quiet in his love. He will rejoice over you with shouts of joy. I will gather those who were worried about the appointed feasts. The disgrace of exile is a burden on them. And look what he says here. Behold, I'm going to deal at that time with all your oppressors. I will save those who limp. I will gather the scattered. I will turn their shame into praise and fame in the earth. And he goes on with more, but the idea is basically, look, God is in control. It doesn't feel like he's in control, but he really is. And there is a time when God puts his foot down in human history and says, okay, that's enough of this bad stuff. And he's done it in the past when history had these cyclical trends where things would get bad and then biblical truth would prevail again with certain historical movements, like including maybe even the birth of this country. That you see the same sentiment in the book of Revelation. It's like, yeah, things are bad, but you know what? God wins in the end. And I just this is I wanted to share that, not to share with anyone else, but it's a biblical truth that I needed to share with me, because I need to hear that. Um, it looks like God is not in control and the bad guys are winning, but do not be fooled. We do have a God who is in control. Now, it may be that things are not made right in our lifetime. I'm seeing the history of this nation take some very heartbreaking turns for the worst. And I really don't know what kind of future is going to be there for my kids after I'm gone. But I know that at some point, God will make things right. It might not even be in my lifetime, maybe not even in theirs. It may not be until Jesus Christ himself returns and says, okay, everybody out of the pool, we're done with this. We just don't know. But we do have a sovereign God who is in control. And here's the one application point I want to share with you. Our job is not necessarily to fix what's broken, because frankly, it's too big for us in our human power to fix. God has the power to fix things that are wrong in this world, but sometimes he chooses to let them run their course for a variety of reasons that I won't get into. You know what those reasons are. But here's the thing. I wrote a song back in 2012 when Obama was reelected, because I just felt that the country was going in a bad direction. And the song was called I Feel Like Jeremiah. It's a song that my band did. And it was about I feel like the prophet Jeremiah, um, because he's heartbroken at the direction that his country was going. And really, God didn't give him the answer he wanted to hear. God didn't say, okay, if you pray enough, I'll fix it all in your lifetime. No, what God's answer to him was, okay, in light of all this, turn inward, look in your own heart at what you need to make right within yourself. Make yourself right with me, stay as close to me as you possibly can, and keep speaking truth, no matter how unpopular it gets. So God's instruction for Jeremiah was persevere, stand strong, do what's right. Um, you're not going to get the outcome necessarily that you want in your lifetime, but that's not God's calling. God's calling is for us to stand strong and honor his son Jesus, regardless of what direction the world goes. And so I think that song's more relevant to me today than it was before. But that's just my 2 cents. When we're looking at this world and how crazy it is, you need to, turn your eyes upon Jesus, look full in his wonderful face, and the things of this world will grow strangely dim in the light of his glory and grace. Stand strong, even if you're the only one doing it. So, just my 2 cents.